actually young. Documents lagging like crazy, friends, so give us a moment. We gotta wait. I believe we're gonna see, if we look at the previous scores, 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 previous scores.
Okay, 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 okay. Wait, let me close this. Sorry. Wait, let me close this. Sorry. Wait, let me close this. Sorry. All right. So it's been a while. A lot's gone on. I got roommates now, so if you hear anything in the background, that's what that is. Um, yeah, but it's been a while since I've done a video or streamed, so I'm just gonna go over my recent trades and whatnot. You know, what's been going on. My whole computer hard drive failed, or my SSD failed in my PC, so I literally lost everything. Like, you know, my entire database of stocks and stuff, which it's like whatever, you know, it's like I've studied it, I understand it. It's just a shame I don't have it anymore. But that happens. So yeah, I had to get a whole new drive and all that. So um, and then I moved out. I was moving my freaking monitors. Now I've got just right. So from here to here, right, like all the way from the very top. There's just this. You can't see it obviously because you're just recording the graphics card, but there's just a black bar on my main monitor in the middle. So that's kind of funny, but I mean it's still usable. I've been trying to contact Dell, but they're a bunch of cocksuckers. I mean, this monitor I bought like 2 months ago, and they don't want to send me a new one. But whatever. So yeah. Um, I'll guess let's just get started with the trades. So where to start here? I guess I can just start from the back and keep going. Um, yeah. so what is this here? Okay, so this, I'm trying to remember this trade. Let me pull up swim too so we can go look at it. What else? This is loading, so I'm just waiting for that. Sorry about the stuff going on in the background. I kind of live in the living room, so yeah, I moved in with some buddies, and I just, yeah. Jesus Christ, this thing went to 92 yesterday. Ugh. This is, I mean, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but this was a trade I took yesterday, and I was just being an idiot. I took like the biggest loss I've ever had yesterday, actually, just being real. I'm gonna put this here. Being real stubborn and it was really like I was trading really low volume relatively, like that's why, right, like this thing trades, a couple 100,000 shares a day. And yeah, I was just being real stubborn. So I was shorting it, all throughout here and just kept taking losses. Just like, one, I was trading way too much size. Not really, like I just, yeah, I got burnt. I was the sucker in this trade. Yeah, but I was just trying to fade this move in the morning, and the spread was real wide, and I was getting filled like down here and getting shaken out up here. It was really bad, and I ended up with like almost a 3 grand loss, which is my biggest negative day ever. So that was Friday, but it happens, you gotta move on. And then like this thing, and I just turned the computer off for the day. It ended up fading, and Jesus, it just made a huge, huge move. And then it's like I'm gonna want to short this thing again, but I don't know if I will. There's probably easier setups. Well, when you look at it like this, I don't know. Maybe I will short it again. The borrows are really cheap too. So I mean, if you catch a pullback, but the problem is, it looks extended, but it might go to 200. We're in like a really, really strong bull market, and I should have, you know, I've been a bit more passive in my trading lately. Just life's been busy, and I haven't been, full. I take days off and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, let's go back. I got way ahead of myself here. So what were we looking at? We were looking at King. So this was like my first trade coming back. This might have been my last trade actually before I switched brokers. Um, let's go look at it. Hope you guys like the music. 'Cause I think it's pretty good. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember, at this point. Yeah, I've been meaning to do this for, a month now. So at this point, this trade is, you know, I'm trying to read what the news was. This was 8/16. Oh, well, I have it on my daily chart. I'm a big idiot. Yeah, so it was gapping up on, it got a patent in Europe or something from some ADHD drug, and um, it faded in the morning, which I think the whole reason I was looking at was kind of to trade the fade, and then um, it started to. I probably did try to trade the fade if I had to guess here, or maybe I missed it because I don't see any arrows. But it stiffened up, and then it went and just got massive volume and took out the highs of the day and just kept going. And then I just sold into strength and got shaken out here when it started to break down. Yeah, that was a good trade, and 15% in a day. I don't think I had very much size, but yeah, it's a good trade. I mean, and then I should have traded this backside. I don't know. I probably, like I said, I've been taking a lot of days off. Not like the most active I've been, um, but I'm probably gonna start focusing a lot more once I get a curtain in this room and I'm not distracted all the time. But let's go to the next guy. Okay, so here's actually what I did. Um, I don't know. chart's confusing me a bit, so I don't know. I'm just gonna move on to the next one. So I remember this very well. Let me. So this was big, big short. And well, this wasn't even the day. I mean, these are horrible screenshots. Oh, yeah, this one might do it. Oh, okay. So this is the day before the really big day. I was just fucking chopping my account up trying to short this fade. I lost a bunch of money. Was like down $1,000, and then I finally did catch the pullback, and I think I just literally closed for break even, and it did end up fading even more that day to like it went to like 350 or something. I remember Nathan Mashaniel, he tweeted about it. That's how I remember. Like it went down like the 350s or something. So I mean I could have made money on the trade, but I just was frustrated and got out at break even. And then this is the next day where um or maybe this is 2 days later, where it had this big parabolic push in the like pre-market and well into the market open too. And so I did a bunch of stupid bullshit dumb trades down here in this 9 area trying to short, and then I got stopped out. And then again I was oh no, so what happened I think, right, was I was pre-market, so I was doing limit orders. Um and this it cracked down big, right? And then it just found support instantly. I kind of got shaken in, and I didn't have a stop set. And then I was putting in limit buy orders to try to cover this thing, and they weren't getting filled. I didn't realize that. So then I eventually got covered way up here, but then at the open I had 5,000 shares long, right, which is like at the time double my equity, right? Like I was leveraged to tits in this 9.10 area, and at the open they got filled. I was like, holy shit. Um, and then I instantly sold them, and just I did. It was like $1,000 loss, but then I made money on these, and it was I think all in all it was a $500 loss day. Um, and then so that was like one of my real stupid beginner mistakes I've made. But that's okay. Um, then let's see. So the next, yeah, 821. So this was the same day, just an easy short. I wish there was a better way to do all the charts. I just don't know how I get them all on the one screen here. Yeah, so this thing, I think it was this day, started just running up into the sevens intraday, and it was just a pretty easy short. Type of stuff I should, you know. A lot of times I get stuck doing the really hard, you know. I was not taking very good screenshots here. I'm looking for a 2-minute chart. This one's labeled 2. You'd think that would be it, but it's not. Entry at 850 area. Okay, so yeah, I think I was just shorting off this first red 2-minute candle with my stop at the highs of the day, and I think my average was somewhere, if I remember correctly, like, it was pretty good, like, I was pretty much up here in the 840s, or 845, something like that. Then it cracked for 20%, and I covered. Yeah. Let's see this. Nope, not what I'm trying to open. Why does it keep... Yeah, there we go. This just looks like small loss I took trying to short this thing too early. Now here, why does it keep opening that every time I open anything? Okay. Now we're getting to my good trades. These were, these are where I I've been making money lately. But so like you have a big a runner, on just bullshit news, right? SMFL. Let's look at the daily chart. Right, so this thing it gapped up, on this day for whatever. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, it was 821. Right, like, I mean, literally, it's announcing nothing. Fucking exclusive Smart Life targets 100 million, in acquisitions. Negotiating the acquisition of health and wellness targets. It's like, whatever, right? Gaps up on, some sort of, like, look at this thing. It just goes down. It's just been going down for, all of time, right? So it gaps up on this whatever news, and it's up, 200%, runs, right into this 50-day moving average, or whatever it is. It could be a 100-day, a 200-day. And then, yeah, it just fades. Oh, well, actually, I remember this trade, so I didn't even make money on this trade. So I started shorting it in the pre-market, right? Oh, wait, no, I totally did make money on this trade. But I started shorting in the pre-market. Because, I mean, it was coming back down, right? And then I covered, and I covered again after the open. And then it started to, perk up, and I just started adding too quickly, right? I wasn't patient, because I knew that this thing could run big. So then I had these ads, And I think I added more size even than my initial short. And sorry, I was talking to my roommates, but so then just started adding too early, and it perked up. Right, this is where you really want to add, right? This absolute turd, right? It's running up, and it perfectly runs right into this resistance area, right? Like this is where I've broken down from in the pre-market, right? The market opens, it runs right up into this resistance area. That's where you can start just really adding to your short, right? And then, risking the high, like my risk would have been the high of this candle, right? Like, well, initially I probably would have risked closer to something up here, this area. But right at this point, you could short here, risk the highs here, and I mean this thing, it just faded for the rest of the day. And I covered after this, right? Because it like went from up like probably $1,500 on the day to I was down, a good amount of money, probably. I mean, probably not 1,000, but probably close, like 700 or 800 bucks. And then it just came back to whatever, probably a minuscule loss, like $100 loss or something, and I already made my profit for the day, and I just closed it, right? But right, like I saw where the edge was, right? Like I understood what was happening here, right? Um, and then it just fades for the rest of the day, right? And if I would have been a better trader, I would have made even more money on that day. Um, so now it's just about waiting till it's about being better next time. I have to be better. Um, yeah, right. Like I'm not even a great trader yet, but I do make money, but I'm gonna make a lot more so I can get better. Um, right, and then I already went over that one. I don't know why it keeps opening. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, that's more like it. Now we can kind of zoom in. Okay, so this was. I need to start taking grabs of the daily chart too. Um, oh yeah, I remember this one. So this was just another runner, up, doubled in a day, and just these small shit micro caps getting a bunch of volume. I mean, it's just where there's an edge in shorting them, right? And occasionally you just have to watch out for the ones that are the big runners. That's where you've got to be able to distinguish. But yeah, so I started shorting it up here in the pre-market. Then it opened, and I shouldn't have added here. I knew there was going to be, right, there's always I can draw it out. Do I have I've literally, this is how I kind of found my edge, as I have a whiteboard in my room, and just I've been sitting here in front of these screens for 2 years now, and it's like I've realized like I drew this out on my whiteboard, and that's how I knew I was gonna make money. Um, right? But you have a something a micro shit suck, right? Making a big move. It pushes up, and then so this is still probably the pre-market. Normally they'll start fading in the pre-market, right? And then they'll fade or whatever, and then the market will open. There'll be a push down, and then normally this rally up, right? And this rally up, sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small, but that's where you can just get a really low risk entry. Once a lot of times, right? Let's just imagine this is the open, right? And then it just fades, or you can get a push, up past the open, just shaking all these shorts out here, right? And then it will just give you a really big fade. Once it fails, it's gonna fail these highs again, and then a really big fade. And as long as you're getting in here and here and risking these highs, you can have a really low risk to reward trade on, right? The worst that happens is you just get stopped out. So that's kind of what my system is based upon mostly currently, right? Which is very different than you know, I've spent years, studying swing trading and stuff like momentum leaders, which are still very like right now we're in a really hot momentum market, like things like Summit. Like this thing is making a huge move, but I've just shifted my focus away from that. Just because you know, right at a certain point, you just have to trust yourself, and I think I've found a large edge where I can make money much more consistently with a small account than trying to swing trade these big moves. Like I traded this move in Summit on this day. I mean, I killed the trade. I absolutely fucking smashed this trade. But I just right, I've shortened my time frames and my length for now at least. Um, Even though like and that's a problem, right? Is there's still a cognitive dissonance in my mind because I know like right like on this day I knew that this was a momentum leader, right? I mean it had huge volume and it just I'll show you the trade. We'll get there. It's coming up. But yeah, so my time frames are much shorter now. Um and I trade much differently for a lot of reasons. It's a little bit easier. It's a lot. I would say it's more boring. I guess like a lot of days I don't do anything. Um, I literally just take random days off for bullshit. But right, it's about having an edge, that you're gonna execute every day. Um, yeah, I mean, I still have lots of things to learn, but I'm getting better. Um, So yeah, this is the one we just did, right? Yeah, it started fading. Okay, yeah, and then it got halted here, right? And halts, they're scary, they're halts. But right, so it came all the way back up to my entry, right? And I'd added down here, and I could got right. Ideally, right, if I was a good trader, I'd be adding up here, but it halted and then it traded around here, and there was time. Right, when things halt, there's time to get fills up here. If you're sitting there watching the screen, right, you can see when it starts to fade. You can get fills. But I didn't, right, because obviously I'd already located all my shares, and I was probably fully short, right? I'm sure I was fully short already. Um, so it faded, and yeah, I made like a grand or something probably. I don't know. I think I posted on Twitter, but yeah. So then there was. Oh, I missed this trade in FFIE. This was another really good one. This was, yeah, just perfect. Literally, look, there's this push in the pre-market up to $11, right? I mean, it doubled pretty much. I think it more than doubled. I think it's like um yeah, look, so it had already been on its big. This is again, there's so many different, variables, right? Like it's not just a simple, do this, right? But okay, so this thing it made this big push, right? And then kind of gone sideways and pushed up, right? And it gaps up, right? That like it's the most easy bread and butter setup, right? It gaps up big. It's already extended. It's like it has nowhere else to go besides down, right? Like anybody who bought it here is going to be selling here, right? There's just so much selling pressure up here. And then it hangs around and I didn't even get a good entry on this one. I got it at the lows of the range. You can get this up here. I mean, if you go down to the 2 minute, you can get it even. You can get really good entries, guys. Like it is possible to. You can like you can short it right here, right? Like right here, risk 5% to the highs of the day. Go for a 30% trade. But yeah, so this was my entry, right? And this is what I was talking about. This is where the really safe entry is, right? Where it's already telling you it's going down. Like it's already pushed up and now it's back on its way down and you just have to be quick, right? Cuz these pushes they'll never go as high as you want them to until they go. It's either that or they right shake everyone out and that's when you get into a squeeze. And that's why you got to have a stop. But right, like I mean this thing was clearly fading. It, for 2 minutes it gave these, 2 minute reversal candles and then it just hammered down and went down, 25% from the entry with, it's the least stressful trade you can possibly have. And then I think I ended up holding it for, yeah, the entire day. And I mean, I could have covered here, wherever, but then it peaked up and I just got out. I'm not going to swing trade. Yeah, so it was almost a $3,000 trade. And that was the same day, I think, as that other GDC trade where I lost like $500. So I think that was probably my biggest day ever. Um, for now, at least. And then, yeah, right. And right, you can swing trade these things, but it's like, it's just about having a system you follow, right? And I've found it easier to just get out before. There's no need to hold them overnight, You hold them overnight and they gap up to 10 and then you're like, fuck. Um, even though, like, over time they do just fade, right? Like, right? And that's what, like, you know, I'm not a fucking quant here. I don't, you know, but that's what, like, big hedge funds, right? That's why there is this selling up here. The whole reason that there's this selling, right, is because there's these really fucking expensive institutions that understand that this range, right, right? Like that, these prices up here are just statistically going to be a lot higher on average, right? This is where you're going to want to be short from, for the foreseeable time, right? And that's why those, and that's kind of the job of what quants and all those gay guys do. But as a trader, it's great that you don't have to worry about any of that. You just get to trade. Um, yeah, so let's move on to the next one. Um, I think I tried trading this again. This is probably the next day. Probably a mental thing of I'd made money shorting it. I was, short biased and thought it would just fade, which it did, but I mean, these just weren't good entries. This wasn't a good trade at all. I mean, I'm just doing random bullshit. Like literally just random. Look at this 5 minute. I mean, it's clearly trending upwards, and I'm like this trade I can understand a little bit at least, because it hammered and it tried to take out these highs and came all the way back down, and then this red candle broke the lows of that red candle, right? So I could see what I was thinking, but it's like, why am I adding here? I don't really know. And then why am I taking the same trade again when it's already, like, it's clearly in an uptrend, lower, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Yeah, right. So I mean, I certainly still have a lot to learn, a lot of ways to get better, but um, T-Box. Why does it keep opening this? Right, that's really annoying. Um, oh yeah, this was a great trade. Um, oh, I remember this one. It actually wasn't as great as the trade, but I mean, I had the perfect short up here. Um, it pushes out the open and just starts failing, right? There's this first red 5 minute candle, and I shorted at the lows. And then I must have, I don't know, just mentally not prepared to trade, clearly. And I think I took on a lot of size. Probably, I mean, I'm sure it couldn't have been, probably more size than I was comfortable, I guess. Clearly, right? Where it pushed down and then I just got shaken out on a. There was no reason to get stopped out here. Nothing had happened, right? It didn't take out the highs, right? It just went against me a little bit, and I stopped out for break even, and then it flushed, of course. So then it did the exact pattern I just showed you, right? Um, right? Why can I never see the cursor here? Okay, right? It pushed up at the open, and it came down. It takes out the lows, right? And then it has this rally here, and fades for the rest of the day, right? And that's exactly what I did. I and I didn't get it on full size. I remember because I tweeted about it. But right, so it faded and it pushed up out of this range, right? It always takes out the shorts, right? It always, that's right, 'cause that's pretty much what an institutional trader's job is, right? Is to literally just, right? It looks like it's right, 'cause here it looks like it's gonna reverse, and anyone who shorted it too late, risking the highs of this candle or whatever, they shake them out. So then it pushes over that level, and that's where there's opportunity for you as a trader to take the risk of that. And then it just fades for the rest of the day, and I got out at around 12 because it had faded huge, and it pretty much it had came all the way back down to this level that it kind of broke out from, so I figured, just get out of the trade. And that's what I did. Alright, because I remember back here, I was pissed. I think I even tweeted about, just because it would have been my biggest trade ever, right? I'd assume that's right. I must have taken on so much size where it ticked against me a little bit, and I was like, holy shit, right? So I just wasn't prepared for that. But I remember it flushed, and I was pissed. But I remained level, and I found that entry. And yeah. Let's see. Well, okay. Yeah, so this is even shit, this is a penny stock at this point. But same thing. There was some sort of news, and it pushed up at the open, and I mean, I was pretty late to this one, right? But it pushed up at the open, and I guess I tried shorting it here. I don't know why. Who knows? Probably because I'm an impatient, right? I'm really good at being too early, is what I've learned. If I could just be a bit more patient, I would make a lot more money. But yeah, so it pushes up, and um, it puts in this green candle, and this 5 minute was right. That was which was also the lows of that 5 minutes. So the second it started, I remember I was even thinking about right shorting it when it pushed, when it was way green up here, right? But the second it took out those lows, I was in. Yeah. So then it just went straight down, and I could have been adding. I should have been adding here, but I didn't. And then it makes a big move down. I gotta get better at, covering here and here, and right, because it's not right. The problem is I always think like, okay, what if it just keeps, because it can, right? When something's really weak, they will just fade all day. But this, right, was finding support off these levels. So then I let it climb back against me a bit, and I got a short. There was, resistance, right, every time like it hits this 7-0 area, right? Let me zoom in a bit more. I can't see. like, yeah, like this 7.7, 7.5, 7.6 area, right? It tried it here, and then it came all the way back down, and it had a big push again, the same place, a big push where, it starts going sideways at the top. So then I should add it here, and because I still wanted it to just fade to just 0.40 or something, which I think it did gap down the next day, but again, I was out. Um, and then it started stiffening up towards the end of the day, so I just got out because when it gets towards the end of the day and things have just been going sideways, where did it go? Things have been going sideways like this. I mean, it can have a big push to 8.2, 8.4 and just evaporate all your profits. So I covered, and it was a good trade. I think probably over $1,000 day. Hoth. Wow, this is an ugly chart. Yeah, this is the one where this is where I need to study this and work on this, because what is this? Do I have another screenshot of this? I literally don't know. Why there's a red arrow right there. Oh, because I was long this. Yeah, this is a fucking sloppy trade. This is something, right? This is I need to study and just, let me see if we can go look at the daily chart on this. That is, why did I no. So it was this day, trying to figure out what I was doing. Like, this is shit. Okay, so I guess I was trying to short it from the open. Get rid of these. Those are from higher time frames. I think just arrows connecting things. But okay, so this is what I saw on this day. So I guess I was trying to short this opening range. I guess I just started shorting it at the open, right? And I mean, it looks like I was even adding into the highs, and then I stopped out like at the 125. I'm sure it was. I mean, it was probably a substantial loss, maybe $500 or something, like, who knows? I don't know, because I don't have any sort of sizing amounts or anything on here. But then it halted and faded back down and started stiffening up here, right? Like, because I think I was looking for it to fade, right? Because that wouldn't make sense, you know. It was up, whatever, you know, a big amount, but it didn't. It started getting really stiff. So I added, or not added. I literally, I went long, and it pushed up, you know, 20%. It broke the highs, and then I started I started selling, right? Because it broke the highs and clearly was fading, and I should have just gotten out completely and started to short it, right? Because that's the edge, right? That's what I was looking to do from the very start, right? As I was looking to fade this move. But I was long biased, right? That's why I don't like going long, because I get really long biased into, you know, this thing could go to $2, you know. So then I sold a bunch, probably more than half. I mean, probably 70%, and then just sold that at break even, and that was that trade. I mean, it was a long trade, and it's not really what I could try to do. But then this next one, this is just a beautiful chart, beautiful trade. I just, oh, wish, I don't know. I don't want to swing trade, at least not yet. Um, but yeah, let's look at this next one. So this is Summit that we were talking about earlier. Um, right, so I was watching this at the open. It had big news, some sort of cancer drug or something, right? So it had already made a big move, right? And then this is the big difference between something like this and something that just fades all day, right? It had already made a big move, right, up to the 20 area, and then it pulled us back in the pre-market to where, right, this level of support here off these 15s where it initially pushed to, and then this was kind of the extension, right? And then, right, it's going sideways, and then right here, you literally, this candle, right, is this tiny candle here. That's this huge volume candle, right? Well, let me make sure. But I suppose there's no way to check, but maybe it's not, right? But either way, right, is okay, yeah, it's not. But you can see, like, I forget that you guys don't have this this black bar I'm looking at here in the middle of my screen, right? But imagine right here is covered up. I guess I could do something like this. Okay, so right, this is right. This thing's made this big push, pre-markets, you know, kind of, you know, it's not like it's trading, you know. Everybody sees it, right? It's trading, you know, good volume, right? And it made this big push back down towards this area, right? And then you see like the volume just it starts coming in, right? Like right there, you know, that's the first little break of this 5 minute, right? It peaks up, right? And then you see, the 2 minute will probably show this even better. But you see the volume coming in, like massive amounts of volume, right? and there's time to buy, right? Like, I mean, look where I got these fills. 16, right? Like that's crazy. And then this is like 2 minutes. Like I bought this, like 2 minutes before the open. Um, and then it just tears. Like you see the volume come in before the open, you know, and it just tears straight up. And I mean, I should have been adding, but I had massive size already. Not massive, but good size, like probably half my account in this. And it just tears up. And then up here, the reason I sold it, well, I sold it here on this little down. It starts trying to turn over, right, just to sell into strength, and in case it just went straight back down to 18. But and then I just started selling into strength onto this final push. I was up 50%. I had a good day, and it already taken out the highs, right? That's what I was looking to see it do. Right, the fact that it took out these highs, right? That's what can give you confidence to swing trade this thing, right? Right, because I knew, right, if it takes out this 20 area, this thing is not stopping here, right? And I mean that in a longer time frame sort of sense, right? Like, well, in a shorter time frame too, right? There is the whole, it broke through the 20, it's gonna push to 21, and then right, but it's not gonna just go straight up forever. um right, but I mean, I even tweeted about it going to 30 on that exact day, and here it is, a week later, and it's right exactly where I said it'd be. But and now, right, certainly you don't go long up here. Now it's starting to look like it might turn over back to 20. But no, probably not, honestly. This thing seems really, really strong. I mean, we're in a bull market right now where there are big runners. But yeah, you see, then it just makes that big, strong move at the open, and right, this is where people, think that this is where you get shaken out and find support, and it just goes, right? Like, you just have to study these things and see how they move, right? Like the differences between this and something that fades all day is night and day, right? Like there are very obvious signs that this thing does not, this thing is, there's going to be buyers in this for a long time, for the next 5 days, right? Like this thing from my entry went up, 96%. But again, I'm not a swing trader anymore, at least for now. Right, and I seriously considered it. That that after this first sell, right, I sold a majority, a good amount, probably more than half. And I was really sitting there thinking about, you know, holding this position, for longer term, but I've already I've made a commitment to a system that I'm following, so I I sold it, even though my my knowledge and understanding of the markets might have told me otherwise, right? Even though I had to put aside what I know and my knowledge to follow a system, my system, I suppose, right? So, I mean, I'll take the 50% trade anyways. I don't think it was 50, more like 40 or something, but right, that's a great trade. Um, yeah, so I want to get to that big loser before I wrap things up. Let's see what else we have left. We only have a couple more. Then there's this one. This looks more like an intraday thing. Yeah, this is, it had gone up over, the this was just kind of a small. This was a small move. This isn't any sort of. This is just kind of fading the pullback, right? To like the 15-minute moving averages was what I was looking at on this trade. I guess I'll go to this one. What was it? PCLE? Nope. PLCE. Yeah. Yeah, like you see, this thing it EP'd this day. I think it might have been the same day I was shorting it. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, this day, the EP day, right? Like I could see it had reported earnings and it was making a big move. Um, right, so kind of. Oh, and yeah, there was this 100-day moving average I was looking at too, right? But it pushed up and kind of. Right, it wasn't getting more volume, right? It was kind of. Where's that photo of it? Like volumes coming down, and it's not the big move down, right? Like the other things we've been talking about, but it's just, thing was up, 100 something percent on the day. It's trending. I mean, it put in this high and it tried to break it here, but it didn't have the legs. It didn't have the momentum. So then it pulled back and it tried to break it again, and it wasn't right. It clearly wasn't breaking this $10 area, so I shorted. Well, I tried shorting it, stopped out for breaking it here, but then you know, so I shorted it here and just faded it to the reason I covered it here. Well, one, it was the flush, right? I was sitting here waiting all day if it just flushed back to this, right? You don't even need the moving averages or anything, right? Like it's right. It flushed back to this area where there's there's been buyers here. There's probably will be buyers here again. Um, but I was also looking at this 15-minute chart, right? It kind of had been trying to keep this 10 EMA, right? And then it had the big flush down to the 20, and that's why I covered. And I did cover it like almost perfectly, and then it kept trending, right? Like the long term, I wasn't a long term trade, I wasn't trying to trade, the full flush, right? Not everything is always going to be the big one that cracks, right? This thing had a reason to go up, right? I mean, it reported these earnings and nobody was expecting, and got massive volume behind it and kept going. Yeah. So I mean, that was a good trade, a winner, I suppose. And this is where things sloppy trades. I've done a couple sloppy trades. And that's why I need to gonna put up this curtain and I'm really gonna start focusing, right? But this is horrible, right? I was down, a massive amount of money over here. Like probably more than $1,000. Just taking small losses, just shorting this thing fucking randomly, man. Just so let's see. Right, so I mean it's clear, right? So I wanted, right? I would. I'm the type of trader, right? Who, if I'm there in the pre-market, I will short this thing up here. I would short the shit out of this thing up here. So we're looking at a 15-minute chart here. So this isn't even the 5-minute. Do I have the 5-minute? I don't. But yeah, they're just real, So this thing was another one-day gapper. Oh, no. Okay, so it was this day that I was looking at it, right? Where it had already made this parabolic push, like, huge, 330%. And then it gapped up even more, like, it was in the threes, in the morning. And I literally think I was sleeping. I think that's why. But, right, like, trades like this, they happen when you don't sleep, right? Like, it's really that simple. Like when you come to the market at 9 a.m. or 9:20, and you're just trying to get into trades. That's really why you make mistakes like this. But even then, it's like I made money, right? And that's the part that, you know, it's a good thing, right? Because you trade to make money, but also it is, you know, you have to learn your lessons if you're, you have to acknowledge that this was not a good trade, even though you made money doing it. So I wish I had this 5-minute, right? But you literally can short it up here. I mean, even here, right? Like it broke this low, I'm sure, on a 2-minute time frame. There was ample, entries on this, right? But then this is this easily as good, right? It went sideways for an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and just, um, well, I can't see this chart because, okay, um, god damn it. I can't, this black bar is really in my way here. Um, right, but then, so I missed this big move down, right? And had seen that. And, I was, like, just doing randomness, right? Like I literally can't tell you what I'm doing here. Like I just shorted it on red candle, I guess, and covered it at break even, and then shorted it on another red candle and covered it at a little bit more than break even, and then I guess I was trying to, this was maybe a bad fill on trying to get a short here, and then I added here, and well, no, I must have covered here too. I don't know. So I covered for, I think it just took a bunch of, really like $200 losses on each one of these, right? Like $200 here, $300 here, $100 here, $100 here, and probably $500 here. Right, so then if you're patient, then it finally does this push right into this 1030 area, or into, 1030 time wise. It does finally push, back up a little bit, into those, right, into that 220, right? I think it said the highs were 228 or something, right? But look where it is. It's where it flushed from up here, right? It's the, kind of this, right? It's coming back up into this area and testing it, right? And that's where you can get the short, right? And this is, right? So this is all impatience, right? This right there, that's where you want your entry to be. And then it just fades, right? Because there's no one buying this fucking thing, right? I mean, it's up fucking 500% in 2 days, right? Like, well, 600%, right? And that's why even in the pre-market, there was that big parabolic push where it was up to 330, right? Like this thing was gapping all the way up to here. So if you're there, right? Because I mean, how often do you see something put in a big candle like this and then open, you know, 150% more than, right? Like it does happen. There are rare cases, and then there's rare cases where it does that and then still keeps going, right? But, you know, the odds are in your favor that, if this thing's having this massive push in the pre-market, that yeah, you can short it. Look, I mean, the volume dries up in it and everything, right? Like the volume dries up and you can short it, right? When there's no volume, there's not that many people interested in buying, right? Unless you're getting. We'll get to that in my next um trade. Just that low float, fucking that But yeah, so then um right, and you can kind of see it. It does like this whole like this is what fucking where new traders get really confused and you know right, because you can see like that stupid ass thing people talk about, chest and shoulders patterns. I don't listen to any of that, but it is, it's clearly evident, right? Like makes this big push and then it's trying to push back up and there's no buyers and it fades, right? And it doesn't look like a big move, but it is, 20%, 25, maybe even 30% move from that entry to down here, right? From $2 to $1.50 is a big move. Um, yeah, I mean, but the real big move is from $3.20 to $1.50, right? That's a 50% move. But yeah. So I think that brings us to Friday. Yep. Oh no, did I not even take a screenshot? Oh fuck. I must have, yeah. Alright, well I'll go over it. Just on Thinkorswim, I guess. But this is just something I was trying to go long. Kinda I was trading this 15-minute chart and it kinda looked like it might, just it was I didn't take any sort of big size. It was like a grand or something, right? But I thought just maybe it might make a push to, you know, 30 or 40 cents or something. So I just, you know, bought a little bit of cheeky, you know, in case it just pushed up, but I stopped out at break even. I mean, it was literally an insignificant position. It could have gone like, I wasn't. It was $1,000. I think was I was guess just trading to trade there, you know. Okay, but then that brings us to Friday, which was my biggest losing day ever. Which, I mean, you gotta deal with it. It's gonna happen. And it was this TIL, which is a biotech, right? And it's making a huge move right now, right? Like we're in a really, really good bull market, right? And I'm kind of missing out on it because one, I'm short biased. Two, I'm day trader. Yeah, I guess those are two big reasons. Right, but so then, I mean, fuck, I can't believe I didn't take a screenshot of my entries. I mean, it was more doing more stuff like QH where I was just, I, I, so, borrows, right, were really cheap on this. So I bought, like, I'm trying to do the math, like way too much, like 30 grand worth of borrows because the difference between that and, you know, like 8 grand worth of borrows were minuscule, right? It was like 5 grand or 30 grand of borrows cost me like 34 bucks versus 8 grand would have cost me like 31 bucks, right? So it was like, why not have the extra shares? But I was just I was just doing a lot of what I was doing. I don't think that there's a way. Shit. Well, I hope I don't get DDoSed. Um, uh, like I was just shorting, just randomness. You know, I wish I had the fills to show you. Um, I'm not gonna go out of my way to go get the fills, but let's just show you, you know, the best I can. I mean, it just happened yesterday. I'm sure if I really think about it, I can. Yeah, so this was the open and it was pushing up over this area and it was just shorting, you know. Like I was shorting it down here and because the spread was really large and like I was getting fills here and I might have even been shorting in the pre-market, which just, oh no, so this is the open. Okay, that makes more sense. My time on Thinkorswim is like fucked up and I don't know how to fix it, right? Like it says that this is 8:30, but when you look up here, I mean the time is right, Eastern Standard Time, but it is wrong on this scale for some reason. But back to, but yeah, so I was like, I would short it here and get filled in 58 and then stop out at, you know, 60 or, you know, it was really bad. And then, so yeah, I bet you I shorted it here and got stopped out at 61 probably. And then I did finally, I got a real fill, you know, here that would have worked, but I just, right, it probably got it in the 58 and like I kept taking the same trade just over and over again. Um, because it was, cracking and going down because I mean it was extended, in the short term. But like I gotta like it was literally on probably this candle, like down here, the 58, and then it perked back up just for a second, and it was like I literally, oh well, yeah, because then I started taking more sizes. I'm remembering right, so I took like I think 300 shares, right. I was started trading like 100 share lots back here and getting shaken out for 10% or something like that. Um, right, so I was taking big losses, like $500 losses each time. Um, and then like I took like a 300 share lot here and shook out for like 5% and just, I mean, it would have faded, but it was just not good trading. Not good trading at all on Friday. But again, days like that are gonna happen. And yeah, you got two options. You can either quit or you can make $1 million. So that's what I'm gonna do. Um, yeah, but then God, this thing, and I knew it was strong, right? Like I knew what I was doing, right? And that's the one good thing, right? It's like it's not like I was, sitting here not understanding. Like I understood I was being a fucking idiot. Like I knew that this thing was like we're in a bull market. Like this thing was looking perfect to be the type of thing to really trap dumb shorts like me. Um, like, but then I have a hard time, if I have to walk away from the screen after that. So that I just turned off my computer and I went on a hike. It was really beautiful actually. And um, but yeah, and now it's like, what? I'm gonna short the right. I've taken the losses here. Am I gonna try to short this thing again? You know, because it is. I mean, eventually. I mean, who knows when, right? But it is gonna pull back. So that's the real question. Right, and it's right. So the big difference, right, between this thing's only trading 3 million shares, right? It's like, you know, like it's relatively low, dollar volume compared to anything that I've ever traded. Which is kind of right. Like that's where you're trading against, right? Like there's, you know, it's the institutions and whatnot, right? Like these are the things you can trade and really blow up, but you can also, when you're right, you will make a lot of money. So like if it gaps up, I'm gonna have a hard time not trying to take a short, right? But I think I need to be real patient, right? So if it gaps up, I just have to, right? It's gonna take out, the early shorts in the morning, right? It might even crack big, but it's gonna take out the early shorts, and then probably, right? So you know, it's gonna, make a move down, try to get you to short it, and then, come back up and make you think that it's going to 160. And then finally, once all the craziness is done and there's a backside and volume starts drying up, then it will just have a really smooth fade down. So if I can catch that, that's what I'm, right, like this is the trade that that you're waiting for. I mean, this thing and the borrows on it were cheap. So if they're cheap again, it's like there's no reason not to try, even though. Yeah. So that's kind of where my mindset is. I do want to do some scans, but at this point, I feel like, I mean, this stream's been going on for a while. So maybe I'll just cut it here and do the scans on my own later or in the morning. Yeah, I'll probably just do that. I wonder,
I'm not playing this game. I'm just the host.
Jesus
Thank you.
fucking, I'm trying to get my stream. I don't give a shit about whatever the hell that is.
Not playing this game. I'm just the host. Thank you.
I'm trying
Alright,
to get my stream.
Grandpa.
Shit about whatever the hell that is.
Not playing this game. I'm just the host. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I'll probably cut it, go down there with my roommates. They've been sitting down there for a while. But yeah, those are my recent trades. It's kind of insight into my process and where I'm at this point and how I'm thinking, Yeah, I'm sure in the future I'll do. Once I really, really start just sitting in front of these computer screens every single day, and I'll probably start streaming, every day. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, happy trading, good luck. Godspeed. Yeah, I'll see you around.